Hello guys, hello. Today is going to be a very special video. I'm going to be answering the number one question that everyone always asks me and no one's ever satisfied the answer. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this many times, kind of throughout many videos, but today I'm really going to sit down and answer, what am I? What is my actual ethnicity? But first, let's hear from Nick what he is. Okay, Nick, do you know what is your DNA background, your heritage?
Not exactly, no. Not like specific percentages.
If you wanted to guess, what would it be?
I would guess like Russian, Ukrainian, East Slavic, probably some British, probably some German, something like that.
Okay, so definitely no like Native American or...
Would be my guess, no.
Yeah.
Prepared, we tested your...
Yeah. Well, sir, that should go with swab. I don't have it here, but if we can get you my heritage DNA
This like
day test,
into the swab.
we can hook you up. Maybe after this we'll do it. But if I didn't know, if I would just guess,
Mm-hmm.
man, I don't know. I mean, for sure it would be some kind of European.
Yeah. Potentially like Mediterranean or something like that, but probably most likely Eastern or Northern Europe.
I would say Greek. I don't know why.
Greek, really? It's interesting because when I was in Greece, people also were like, "Oh, you look very Greek."
Yeah.
And they would speak to me in Greek, and I would be like, "Kalimera." That's all I know how to say. Good morning in Greek.
Well, okay. So if you had just met me, well, before you met me, and you didn't know anything about me, you didn't I didn't say anything, just by looking at me, what would you think I was?
Mongolian.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
If I had to imagine Genghis Khan, it's you in the fur coat.
So even though it's wet and dreary here, it's still cold. I'm used to it. And the roads are so nice to be able to walk now. It's like night and day, guys. Okay, I like it. Alright guys, so thanks to this week's sponsor, which is My Heritage DNA, I actually have my test results and I can tell you exactly down to the percentage where my ancestors are from. And I'm also going to tell you why I have such a kinship or connection here to Ukraine. I think you're going to be kind of surprised. What's this? But let's start with the smallest amount, which is actually Central Asian. Did you believe that?
Yeah, I do.
But did you believe Central Asian?
Yes. Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah, okay. So, for those who don't know, okay, so Central Asian, which actually isn't Mongolia, did you know that?
Yeah.
I thought
They
that.
have Kazakhs and Turkmen and Kyrgyz.
Oh, your geography is better than mine.
Bashkirs, like all kinds of stuff.
Okay, so you're right. So that's my smallest amount. That's only 2.3%, but yeah, it's somewhere here. People say I look Kazakh. Uzbek taxi drivers, they said I look Uzbek, so I can definitely see that. But pretty cool that this is somewhere in my DNA. But as you can see, Asia's a big place. And actually, fun fact, when I was learning Russian here in Ukraine, and I would go around only speaking Russian, a lot of people just assumed I was Central Asian. Because here you had a lot of Central Asian workers, mostly like taxi drivers or construction workers.
Even still, they do sometimes.
Yeah, and not even just like other like Slavic people, but other Kazakh people, were like, "Oh, you're one of us," and I was like, "Oh no, I've never been there," but they're like, "Oh, you should come, you'll like it."
Yeah.
So, and I do like plov, so yeah,
It's the main dish.
maybe it's in me. Maybe it's in my blood. And the next biggest match, which is almost 12%, is, you guessed it,
Mongolia.
the Mongolian.
Surprise.
So I think there's a lot of people who actually have like ancestry with Genghis Khan. Did you ever hear that statistic?
Yeah, that like 1 in 5 people or something are related to Genghis Khan.
And I remember when I first took this test, I got the results, and I said to one of my friends, no, I think it was actually to Bold. I said to Bold, I was like, hey, how did you know I was Mongolian? Because if you guys don't know, Bold's nickname for me was the Mongolian warlord.
Mm-hmm.
Do you actually know how that came about?
I think you told me that you guys went wandering through some Gopnik neighborhood, and Bolt was like, I have my Mongolian warlord bodyguard.
Just in case old Khatazeh is really dodgy, I'm bringing with me some muscle. Look after me. So let me introduce you. Johnny!
Hey!
How you doing, my brother? You're looking smart.
Thank you.
This, some of you may know, is my good mate Johnny FD.
Hey guys.
He's the Mongolian warlord who is going to look after me on this trip to Khatazeh. Are you ready? You're looking strong, you're looking big.
Wait.
What?
You didn't say anything about going to Khatazeh.
And later on, you were like, how'd you know I was Mongolian?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, and he's like, I didn't. You just kind of look like it. And when I told him, like, oh, actually, like, turns out I'm like 12% Mongolian. He's like, yeah, I'm not surprised. It's not more. Like, if anybody's the ancestor of Genghis Khan, it'd be you.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, guys. When I told my parents, turns out my mom and dad actually didn't know.
Oh, really?
Because my dad is the youngest out of like 7 kids. So his brother was already like 40 when he was born or something crazy like that. And I had to ask my older uncle, I said, did you know that we're part Mongolian? And he's like, yeah, your grandma's full Mongolian. And I said, oh, like, how did that happen? And I think it was actually back in the days, in kind of the China and border, Mongolian borders, there was a lot of, I don't know what the word would be, but like a lot of agreements where people would marry each other, not necessarily for love, but for like stability or peace, like, or
diplomatic marriages or whatever, political marriages. And
my grandfather was kind of like the town leader of his village or his place.
Okay.
And he married in, my grandmother, who was Mongolian, probably like for economic reasons, to like not have like border conflicts or fighting, because he was responsible for like the security of the area, but also to collect taxes and everything. So she moved to the China side, the northern eastern China side.
Actually more Mongols that live in neighboring China as opposed to Mongolia. They live in a region that's known as Inner Mongolia, but there are many different tribes both within Outer Mongolia, as it was called, or now the just Mongolia, the country, and Inner Mongolia. Lots of different peoples who historically would have shared a language and culture and to a certain extent history, but that are and see themselves as being separate groups, ethnicities, tribes.
And that's where they had kids. That's how my dad became, I guess, half Mongolian, and then I became like 20% or 12%, whatever, something like that. Yeah. So there you have it. That's my Mongolian blood. I need to actually go to Mongolia one day. It'd be interesting. Yeah. All right. So for the last part, it's kind of all mixed together. This is the biggest one. It's 85%. This is this kind of whole region, which you can see is basically everywhere from all of China to Laos, Vietnam, Hong Kong, even kind of like Thailand, Vietnam. Guess what that is?
East Asian?
Just like Chinese, Vietnamese, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam. It's all lumped in together.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Actually, I just read it closer. So I could technically be Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, but it's very low chances. So mostly it's going to be Chinese. So that makes sense. But they kind of group it together because it's all close by. But most likely I'm from this part of China. Most likely closer up here or over here. Interesting. I'm gonna dive in a little bit deeper on this. This is pretty fun, guys, to be honest. I really want to build up my tree, so and that's why I wanted to get my cousin or my parents to do this as well. Okay, so what I do know is my dad actually was born on the border of Korea and China.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure they moved there. Like my dad was only like 2 or 3 when he was when he left. So the reason why my uncles and everyone lived there was probably political. They probably moved there for some reason. So I don't think they actually were I don't know if they were born there. And I wish we had like this family info from like longer ago. But they do consider a place called Liaoning, which is, let me look it on a map.
Liaoning Peninsula.
Do you know it?
Yeah, it's right just I guess would be west of Korea.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah, it'd be up here somewhere, I guess. Liaoning. Here we go, guys. Liaoning. So it's actually basically next to North Korea.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But at that time, at that time your dad was living there, it wasn't North Korea. It was Japanese Korea, Japan Korea, and also that part of China.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
that's actually perfect because that ties in to why I have a connection with Ukraine.
yeah.
So my grandfather and my older uncle, two of them, were all generals in the nationalist China army, which was China for like, however many years. But in the 1940s, China was fighting with Japan, and after that war, when it kind of really weakened the army, the communists, who had been just hiding in the mountains, kind of making deals with Japan, took over. And that forced my dad's side of the family to move to Taiwan. They fled. From what I know, while my grandfather was fighting, my grandmother took the 7 kids on horseback, packed up some gold, some other things, rode the horse down to as far south as they could, and then took a boat to Taiwan. So my dad grew up in Taiwan, but he was born in that kind of Liaoning area.
Yeah. Wow.
So my dad ran from communism, or escaped communism, when he was young, and now in 2022, 2023, when the communists are basically Russia is trying to take over Ukraine. I'm here now, so it's like a couple generations of screw you, communism.
Is that communism? Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad.
So one of the reasons why I agreed to do this video is, first, I know a lot of people have been asking this question and kind of wanted to know the backstory, but second, kind of what was the word? Selfishly, I want more people who are Asian to put their DNA in this database, because then the information gets better for everyone. So the reason why right now it's kind of like Asia is lumped together, where we don't have the separation, is because there's not enough data. The nice thing about MyHeritage DNA and DNA kind of science in general is the more data they get, the more they can update you. So I've actually had MyHeritage for years now, and every time I log in, there's updates. So every couple of years I go in, I'm like, oh, it's more specific, kind of zoom in more. For Europeans, it's really easy to tell if you're from Ireland or Scotland or from UK, even though it's so close together, because there's so much information. So I bet you if you did it, you would get really precise info.
Potentially, yeah.
So that's the other kind of selfish reason of why I want more people to do this. I think it's just kind of cool, and it's also a nice way to connect with family members. So if I log in here, you can actually see some of my distant cousins that I can actually message. So if I go in here and I click on DNA matches, you want to try to guess who my the top person is, the 4th cousin? What country they're from? They're in their 20s. Her name is Shigi Chen.
Shigi Chen?
Yeah. Where do they live? What country?
China would be my guess.
I would guess too, but currently they live in the Netherlands.
Oh.
No. Yeah, but also we have David Corbett. That doesn't sound Chinese at all, but
Corbett
he's American.
Yeah.
Liu Zhenshu.
That sounds very Chinese.
That sounds can be, but also from Brazil, Mikito Hayashimoto Maria. Okay, this person
That sounds Japanese. That name.
that probably moved to Brazil, right?
Moved to Brazil.
Yeah, but this person, I'll guarantee I'm actually probably my parents probably know them. It's a 5th cousin, but they're from Taiwan in the 30s, Annie Sue. So obviously these people have to upload a photo or kind of go in a bit closer to be able for me to get more information. But let's say I want to see this. Actually, let's check Annie Sue. So if I click review DNA, she's from Taiwan, my 5th cousin. It's pretty small match. This is why I kind of need more people. And I can actually see the DNA segment that's matched. And if I wanted to, I think I can even contact her. That's cool. I can even message her. So if you've never heard of My Heritage DNA, the way it works is you can order a kit, and I'll have a special link below where you can actually get a discount. And once you get it, it's a really, really easy DNA sample. It's just like a swab. It comes in this like envelope that you mail back. And once they get it, they can actually send it to the labs. They do the test. And within a few weeks, you get the results online that you can see just like this. You can look at it on the app on your phone, or you can go on the website. And the more people who do it, the more kind of information you upload, like your profile photo, or you fill out your family tree and you get your family members to do it, the more information all of us get. So it can become a very powerful tool in the future for us to connect with long lost relatives, distant cousins, have people to travel with, connect with, kind of no matter where we are in the world. So I think it's really cool. Thank you so much to My Heritage DNA for sponsoring this video. I really appreciate it. Thank you to Nick for hanging out and talking.
Yep.
You can check him out at Wayfarer Nick.
That's right.
And let's try to get him one of these kits. We can find out what his data is, his DNA.
Let's do it.
So I got money on Greek.
All right.
At least a few percent. We'll see.
Probably. Remember, kids, only you can prevent communism.
I love it. So I almost forgot half of my family. My mom's side, she was born in Taiwan. And the reason why I don't talk about that much is because Taiwan was a complicated country. It was known as Formosa for a long time because the Japanese were in control of it. Before that, there were some Aboriginals on the island. But
Taiwan's population is today over 90% Han Chinese, but their arrival to the island comes relatively late in history. But Taiwan's Han Chinese first began settling on the island some 400 years ago. Taiwan's early Han Chinese settlers soon found themselves in conflict with Taiwan's Aborigines, the island's first inhabitants. The Taiwanese government recognizes 16 mountains peoples. 9 of those have been recognized since the Japanese colonization period.
Then Japan controlled it for a while, and then China took it back. And then in 1949, it really became its own country when the nationalists of China, which was like basically China, all the government, all the military, all the intellectuals and wealthy people, anyone who was able to escape communism, they either moved to China to start over and create a country, or they moved to like Canada, the US, Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia. And so if you ever wondered why there's so many Chinese people all around the world and why the majority of the ones who went had so much money, it's because when the communists took over, nobody wanted to live under them. They knew it would be a really, really bad life. It was okay for like farmers and poor people, kind of, besides the famines that they caused. But in general, the people who had a way out, they all left. So in 1949, my dad's side moved to Taiwan, and my mom's side probably moved there either a little bit before, a little bit during that time. We don't know, because my mom actually doesn't have any history. I've tried asking some of my mom's older brothers, my actual grandma on that side, who we called Popo. She didn't speak any Mandarin. She only spoke Taiwanese, which is like a local dialect. And she just didn't know. Like, my mom really just has no idea where they were born. She thinks that her mom was born in Taiwan and her dad was born in Taiwan. But aside from that, she has no idea. She has no idea where our great-grandparents are from, which is another reason why it's interesting to see these DNA tests. I'm pretty sure 100% of my Mongolian and Central Asian DNA comes from my dad's side, because I know that traces back to my Mongolian grandmother. But the Chinese kind of area, which could be Vietnamese, that comes from mom's side. So who knows? But back then it was all kind of mixed together. It was really, really complicated. DNA in general is complicated, but things like MyHeritage make it a lot easier to see a visual map. It is cool. It's a very interesting conversation. Obviously, at the end of the day, me being born in America makes me American. Me living in Ukraine makes me a Ukrainian resident. I think our DNA is just a part of the story, and it's a part of our lives. It doesn't have to define us 100%. So I encourage you to find out your story as well, because I really think it's interesting. So anyways, thanks again to MyHeritage DNA for sponsoring this video, and for you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments below, what is your heritage, and if you've taken a DNA test or not, and if it's changed. Because I know a lot of people who thought they were something else, and once they took the DNA test, they realized, oh, I was wrong. So check it out. Let me know in the comments below. I'm curious where you're from and what your heritage is.